Living on the water is the only life we know. Yo, ho, ho, ho. It's time for the Bodie Show.
Welcome, everybody.
Hello, Stephanie.
Nice to hear you.
Yes, we can't see each other, and we're not going to tell you about the last 2 hours of technical difficulties, which after 37 episodes of doing this, I'm surprised we are having. I have a question.
Go.
Did you get the houseboat out off of Docksident?
I sure did. And it is safely tucked into the marina down the road here, Bill and Jack's, which you and I know both well. It's great. So I've been checking on it and I'm going to clean it, I think. I'm going to tell a little bit about Parker, even though I don't think we're going to get him on as a guest. But I was inspired by a friend of a friend who just drove a River Queen, which is the type of houseboat that I also own, from Lake Champlain down to Brooklyn. And then I got a video tour of it the other day, and it was so pretty.
Tell us about River Queens. Do you know any history? Like, what's the history of River Queens?
I don't know a lot. The only thing I know is that there used to be a houseboat rental company in Clayton years ago. It was Remar Rentals, and they rented out River Queens. I mean, River Queens were like, there's kind of 60s boats, steel hulls, Parkers. The friend we were just talking about, who's just boated down the Hudson and landed in Brooklyn for a few days. His has the superstructures original.
So like the cabin, the cabin on top.
Correct,
yep.
Exactly. Mine is not. Mine was like rebuilt. It's like a tiny, more of like a wooden tiny house on top of the steel hull, bargey thing. So, but his is original on the outside, and I must say, it is quite well appointed, shall we say.
It looks like it's got fresh paint all over and has been well taken care of. And
yeah, and like the inside is all, like it looks like the converted van, like blondie wood situation. It's like very high end, fancy, pretty on the inside. So that kind of, and then I got back to my houseboat, and I was like, and I have like this big pile of rope in the front next to the mermaid bumper that we so enthusiastically at the beginning of the summer, like threw on the houseboat as like sort of, a bowsprit inspiration, kind of feminist, friend. She's been hanging out there all summer.
Mascot. She's been in repose with her arms behind her head.
She has. She's been stone cold chilling on the front of the houseboat all summer. And now she is like covered with lichen. Like she looks like she's had a rough summer, which I can totally identify with. But next to her is this enormous pile of rope. I'm not really sure what it's there for, like what it's connected to, but it's so green.
Where did it come from?
I don't know. You know me. There's rope. I think it may be related to the anchor, but it's really, really green. And I just kept thinking about.
Did you anchor?
No, you anchor. We anchored once in May and did a boatie show in South Bay. That's the only time there's been any anchoring of the houseboat.
Then because the last time I saw the houseboat, there was not a giant pile of rope on the bow.
You might have missed it because of all the other junk, and it might have been hidden under the beanbag chair.
So you saw your giant pile of green rope, and you saw a video tour of Patrick's River Queen, and you were like, "Wow."
Yes, Parker, but yes,
Parker. I'm sorry, Patrick.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
exactly. Parker. So the bottom line is the houseboat is like very easily accessible right now, and I have one of the most rare feelings for me, which is I kind of want to clean it.
Go with that.
I know, right? I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to clean the houseboat.
Today?
I'm feeling inspired to clean the houseboat.
Today?
Maybe, or tomorrow.
Yeah. Can I tell you about my boat cleaning conundrum?
Oh, yes, please.
We did not pull any boats until well after Labor Day. Typically, we pull a boat and pressure wash it, pull up another boat and pressure wash it.
Yep.
None of that happened.
Okay.
So all of our boats got pulled, backed into a corner and left. And I have winterized 0 engines. I have pressure washed 0 water lines of schmutz. I have disconnected 0 batteries. I have done nothing other than get boats out of the water, except, and even that I haven't finished. There's still a boat in the water, the Green Dog.
I don't understand what the conundrum is, though.
Because that means that I still have to do all this stuff, and it's almost November, which is fine, except at some point I have to turn the water off to the barn or it'll freeze.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I'd rather not be pressure washing in like November, December when it's freezing cold, because you get all
but it might be beautiful in November too. You never know. But I see what you're saying. So basically, you need to get up here in the next couple of weeks and do do some of that stuff.
I need to do all of the things that I did not do when it was more convenient to keep having fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know me. I really support that set of decision making that you made.
You support deferred maintenance.
I do. I mean, I really do. And I think that the schmutz is going to be there.
It's not going anywhere.
No, it's not going anywhere.
We can wait till Mother's Day and scrape it off with cardboard.
Exactly. And the schmutz, I mean, let's face it, like the schmutz isn't doing any damage. It's not like hurry up and get it off because it's going to be harder to get off in the spring.
No, that's the thing. It is.
Oh. As you know.
Dried schmutz typically means chemicals instead of just pressurized water.
Right. Well, clearly we're testing my limit of schmutz knowledge, but I'm learning.
Though you did through your theory of deferred maintenance discover that the best way to remove zebra mussels from a hull is to let them dry out for about 7 months.
Yeah. They sort of just disintegrate with just the slightest hint of something brushing them off. Yeah.
Right.
It's a classic Mother's Day activity, as you know. Yeah.
I'm going to go get something. I'll be right back. So I subscribed to a magazine. The latest issue just came and it's got a regular DIY section. And this section is fall decommissioning. The more you do to prevent winter problems, the less you'll have to do in the spring to go boating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just like sounded very dismissive and like and nauseous in that. Like I heard like a
that was like half like sure obviously, and also half eye roll, but like, you know, it seems like, is it better to have to have less to do in the spring? I mean, I guess it seems like obvious, right? Do more now, do less later, blah blah blah. You know, prepare for the winter, be a squirrel. I don't know. Yes, we get it. We get it. But I also
proper winter decommissioning is the single most crucial maintenance step you can take.
Decommissioning? Is this like repositioning?
Fall decommissioning is also referred to as winterizing. Neglecting it can lead to significant costly damage, potentially keeping your boat out of commission for the next season.
Well, it seems a little dramatic.
The two of you are so dismissive right now.
But I do think that I'm very much coming around to maintenance, the necessary maintenance, and sometimes above and beyond the necessary. I did, like you and I talked through what I need to do to my boat when I do pull it out, because you're usually gone by the time I do it, and then I have to figure some stuff out. So I've definitely been thinking about all of this, and for my 2 boats, and I'm on board. Like whenever you do come up and do all of the things you're going to do, like I will be, I'm there for it. Like I'll be right. I'll be alongside. I might even pull my boat when you pull your boat. The
last of the Easterns to get pulled.
Right. And the Seaway's got to come out. But today the Seaway is getting a ride out to Bluff Island for Canadian Thanksgiving Friendsgiving potluck.
Oh, awesome.
So we have a friend who is throwing that party, and it's a very windy day, but manageable. So I will take one of my famous, instead of my fast dancing boat rides, one of my slow and steady, try not to get wet boat rides, and get myself over to Bluff Island for, I'm sure, one of the last social island engagements of the year.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
Canadian Friendsgiving. Canadian Thanksgiving is in October. People may not know, but it's typically this weekend. I mean, but it
always coincides with what used to be called Columbus Day weekend or First Nations Day or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
But it's always the same weekend. It's a 3-day weekend for us. And yeah, it is. That is when Canada celebrates Thanksgiving, which we've had a lot of fun with before. Because remember, we went to Rockport, which is a little town on the Canadian side of the river, and we had a Canadian buffet with the kids, remember?
Yeah, I do. That was great.
Yeah.
It was like a beautiful, warm sun, not a lot of wind, fall day. It was great. We should talk about our all of these fall decommissioning steps.
Okay.
All right. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because this is good information. So, general cleaning and equipment removal. Power washing highly recommended, significantly more difficult to remove bottom growth once it has a chance to dry. I've experienced that directly. And then it says something about like removing all equipment, life jackets, and store them in a warm, dry place. Okay, fine, whatever. I doubt that is going to ever happen, but it helps prevent mold, common issue during winter storage. I do agree with that. Fuel care. Mm-hmm. So we talked at length about, do you leave your tanks full or not with Patrick? Do you recall?
I do.
Because partially empty tanks can form condensation on the wall of the tank above the level of the gas, and then that runs down. This says keep the tanks at least 75% filled and preferably fuller. Okay, That means there's less fuel tank wall to collect condensation water beads, and that then drops into the fuel.
Right. And then you put the stuff in there, right?
Yeah. Appropriate fuel stabilizer. They don't tell you which because there's so many different brands. Use the correct amount based on your tank size, blah. Gasoline stabilizers prevent fuel from gumming up in the engine system. Displace water to prevent rust and stop the separation of ethanol in your gasoline. We're lucky because just about every marina sells ethanol-free gasoline.
Right.
And
that's all we use.
That's
ever.
all. Yep. And these fuel stabilizers could remain effective for about 2 years. Okay, so boat drainage. Stagnant water left on board is notorious for causing black mold.
Wait, what? Say it again?
Stagnant water left on board is notorious for causing black mold.
Okay. What kind of water? Like drinking water that you leave on there? Is that what they're saying?
I think so. It says remove all water from lockers, bilges, and live wells. So I think it's more like wherever there's water collected in the... Got
it.
Yeah.
I do not do that in the houseboat. I leave it right there.
Yep.
But it does freeze, which must get rid of the black mold.
Here's a good one for you. If the bilge is dirty, this is a great time to flush it with fresh water and clear out any debris.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good practice to add any leftover antifreeze to the bilge to help prevent the pumps from freezing over the winter months. That's not a bad call.
Yeah, I have to. So this winter, my big goal is to not destroy the houseboat with whatever keeps going wrong with the bilge pumps. Like, I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but I'm going to add this to the list of options to consider.
Yeah. Have you had to replace the bilge pumps, or is it more that you ran the batteries dry and...
Ran the batteries dry, but no, you know what? It wasn't even that. It was, as it turns out, just to refresh, it was a problem with the connection to the first battery, and then the batteries were in series, so none of the rest of them were doing anything. Remember? And then Eric had to fix that connection to the first battery, and then everything was fine.
Series means you put one battery sort of in line with another, and the voltage remains the same. It's like you just make a bigger battery.
Right. So at first we thought the batteries had killed it, or the bilge pumps had killed it, and we would maybe need new ones and need all new batteries because they were drawn down, but that wasn't the case. It was just a connection issue to the first one, and once he fixed that, then everything was ready to go. Yeah. And it has been a very successful season for that all of those like systems and all that stuff. Like we ran off the solar, ran the breakfast sandwich maker, ran the coffee maker, all the bilge pumps, and it was rock and roll. So it was good season.
The next section is water systems. So this is if you have like actual plumbing. With freezing temperatures come freezing water, so proper drainage and antifreeze flushing is required. So that's if you've got a water tank and, plumbing and a faucet and all that stuff, which you don't on your houseboat, but many people do. Like if they've got a little place, like a little head or a big head if they've got a big cruiser. So this is all about draining all the water out and then potentially running antifreeze through everything. Very important here, lock out the hot water heater breaker so you don't burn out the heating element. So if you've got a hot water heater on your boat, they don't want you to drain the tank and then leave that on because that'll like cook the heating element. Yep. And then add antifreeze. Pour marine grade non-toxic antifreeze. We recommend -50 pink antifreeze into the freshwater tanks. And then I'm glad we don't have to do that. Yeah, I am too. Other people do, but then you run the antifreeze from the tank through all of the plumbing and faucet. Head holding tank. Before leaving the marina or mooring, ensure the holding tank is completely pumped out. Leaving it full or partially full over the winter can cause tank or plumbing failures. So this is if you've got, a potty on board and it flushes to a big tank called a holding tank. You have a composting toilet on your houseboat.
I do, and I've already done the maintenance on it. I already flipped it around.
What's the maintenance on it? Do you take the composted poo out?
Yeah, but I didn't have to this time because I did both chambers. I emptied both chambers last year, so I started the year with 2 empty chambers. One got filled, and then I just flip it around, and so now it has an empty one. So I'll have another year. So it spends a full year or more composting, and then by the time you get rid of it, it's really not gross, which is great.
Oh, what's it look like when you get rid of it?
I mean, it looks like it's very dry and not stinky at all, and kind of doesn't look like dirt. Like you wouldn't use it as dirt, but it just looks like, I don't know. It's kind of just dry brown, but not so it does a good job. It's not gross by the time you get rid of it. Okay. But I can't remember. Super interested.
Do you put the sawdusty potpourri stuff in that one?
Not potpourri, but there's some diatomaceous earth, which gets rid of bugs. And then there's also a wood chippy kind of thing, which is just bulking or whatever. It's just additional stuff that's supposed to make it
Yeah. The carbon combines with the nitrogen.
Yeah.
And that's a happy meal for a certain kind of bacteria that turn it from poo into something close to dirt.
Right.
What do you do with it?
So,
Do you like dump it out on land?
yeah.
Okay.
And then like in the woods where where there's no one around or whatever, it's like, it kind of just disappears. And then but the one thing I do really want is I want a separate, which is like a different I want a separating composting toilet. Because we really don't use mine for like if people are gonna pee, you just almost pee outside, because you do end up with a liquid problem with my composting toilet because it mixes everything together, and if you separate them, it's better.
Got it.
So I was talking to Parker about that as well, because he has the separating one, which is better.
He has a composting toilet also.
Yeah, but a separate, which is what I want.
A separate. I like that.
All right, what's next?
Probably, I'm going to actually go out of order because we're going to talk about the most pain in the ass one last, and what I think is the most overlooked by lots of people, and we've discussed at length. So I'm going to skip that, and we're going to talk about engines. The process of winterizing your boat's engine is a topic that requires a separate article. Oh, come on! Many differences between inboards, outboards, diesel, blah. But change the oil, flush the motor with antifreeze, fog the motor if the manufacturer recommends it. So if you have a 4-stroke engine, you definitely want to change the oil every year, because when you use it, the oil collects a bunch of basically toxins. And then if that just sits in there, it's not good for the motor, and it reduces the service life and means you got to buy another motor sooner than you want. So if you have a 2-stroke motor, those don't have oil sitting in a crankcase. So you've got to,
it's mixed in with the,
So you just got to try and coat the inside of everything with oil. And our outboards are Bombardier recreational projects, BRP, E-Tex, and they have the computer fogs them. So they have an oil tank, and the computer just injects a bunch of extra oil in when you put it into winterization mode. And then that fogging is really to cover all of the metal surfaces in oil so that it doesn't rust.
Oh, that sounds very high tech.
Yeah, it's pretty high tech. I think it's pretty cool, but you can't buy those motors anymore because BRP stopped making them, and they didn't sell the technology to somebody else so that they could make them.
I know. I remember we talked about this. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Bitter about, but it's fine.
Bitter. Yeah, the bitterness. Yeah. Now I know what fogging is, because I didn't know until you just said that. And I understand the 2-stroke and the 4-stroke, because we've all covered all of that. That's content that we've...
Plus, I think if I tried to cover it again, I'd screw it up. So we're just going to move on.
We thoroughly canvassed it.
If anybody's interested in the difference between 2-strokes and 4-stroke motors, go back and listen to 2-Stroke Wizard and Canadian National Outboard Racing Championship champion Scott Smith, episode something or other. But there's a 2-stroke episode where Scott really lays it out for us, the difference between 2-strokes and 4-strokes.
But here we are. I have a 4-stroke, and then put new stuff in this year.
Yeah, you have to change the oil every year.
Okay. And you don't leave it empty or anything and then put more in the spring. You take it all out, you put it back, and then you leave it, and then you dump the junk into your gas, and then and that's it. No, then there's something else.
The last thing.
What is it?
The 4-stroke has an oil filter. You want to change that.
Isn't there also the lower unit oil?
There is.
Is that what we're talking about?
There is.
Oh, for God's sake.
There's a lot of different kinds of oil. You got to pay attention to all of them. And if you defer maintenance on them, then you'll have to buy a new motor sooner rather than later. I go straight to the economic argument with you because I know you don't want to buy a new motor.
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I want my motor to last forever. It's a self-healing motor, though, which is great. I have a lot of self-healing things in my boat, but my motor, remember when my motor was the flywheel wasn't engaging with the starter motor?
Yeah.
And I had to carry a hammer around and whack it with a hammer. That stopped happening on its own.
Or did you hit it with a hammer and then that fixed it?
I had to hit it with a hammer, for a whole summer. There's the whole summer, it wouldn't start. And then so there was hammer hitting that was happening for a whole summer. And then the next summer it just didn't happen anymore. I think it's important to, remain optimistic about some of your maintenance challenges, that they might just fix themselves.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I understand what you're saying, which is that I need to do multiple things to multiple kinds of oil.
Yeah. So there's
change the oil, and then I'm going to also change the gear oil.
Yeah. So there's the engine oil, and then there's the gear case oil.
Okay.
And the engine oil by name is in the engine. There's a crankcase and an oil sump, and that oil gets hot, does a bunch of work lubricating pieces and parts, and so it gets tired. You got to drain it out and put new oil in and change the oil filter that's on the engine.
What do you do with all this old oil?
You take it to Napa, and then they have, I think they either sell it because there's oil recycling is a thing, or they may have like a lot of garages will take it because they generate a lot of oil, so you can drop it off, and they have some means of getting rid of it. But in the Thousand Islands, there's a Napa Auto Parts store. They take it. They may have a waste oil fueled furnace, which is another thing that some places will do. They'll use it instead of fuel oil.
Can I put it in my fuel tank so I don't have to buy more? Like all winter?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that'd be great.
No, actually,
Okay.
don't listen to me on that. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So this doesn't sound so bad. We've got to dump some stuff into the fuel, take out some oil from the engine, and then take out some oil from the lower unit, and then put oil back into all those places.
All right. So last but not least, battery care.
Oh, right.
New batteries are way crappier than old batteries. As in, like, a battery that you bought 20 years ago just was more resilient and less prone to crapping out than a battery you bought 2 years ago or just bought. I have become very disenchanted with the lead acid battery manufacturers because they've gotten significantly more expensive and significantly crappier. And I actually want to figure out who makes a really good battery and probably spend more money, but have fewer hassles and, spend $120 on a starting battery like fewer times.
Yeah, I agree with you. But also, like, that seems so weird that batteries just seem like not the kind of thing that people would make worse and worse. And how that's so weird.
I think it's shrinkflation. Like, they're just looking to make more margin out of them.
Huh.
So they're just getting crappier. Like, a lot of stuff gets crappier, and people just pay it. You replace the battery. People don't expect batteries to work that well now. I don't know. I'm getting a little grumpy old man on it, but
you do sound a little grumpy old man about it.
Yeah.
But it's also like batteries are important. So I do not want my batteries to get crappier and crappier.
No, but they are.
That's really annoying, and I agree with you that that's the kind of thing I would definitely prioritize getting a good one. I think. Well, anyway, we'll talk more about how to figure that out, but we'll add that to the list of things in boats that somebody needs to do a better job making.
Well, we can add to the list of Boaty Show manufactured products, because we do intend to manufacture or source products that don't suck, and we could add batteries to that list as well.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Great.
We've added bilge pumps to that list. We've added
boat chairs
to that list. We've added, what else?
Stern lights. Yeah.
Running lights, nav lights. Yeah.
Yep.
All these things suck. And batteries on the list. So here's what it says. This says, for lead acid batteries, recommended to fully charge before winterizing your boat. If you have flooded lead acid batteries, check the electrolyte levels before the final charge and top off the cells with distilled water if necessary. I'm never going to do that. That's just never going to happen. I had one flooded battery once. It was a 6-volt for the tractor, and I just ruined that. If you're leaving batteries in the boat, after charging, disconnect the negative terminal to prevent parasitic drain.
Ooh.
I always thought it was the positive terminal, which is what I was disconnecting. So that is good info. If you're leaving your battery in the boat, after charging, disconnect the negative terminal to prevent parasitic drain. For boats with multiple negative leads, so you got a bunch of wires going to the negative post on your battery, zip tie them together to avoid confusion during reinstallation. This is good.
Okay.
If you're removing batteries, avoid keeping a charger connected all winter. Instead, charge the batteries no more than once a month. Also, avoid storing batteries on concrete, as temperature differences can cause electrolyte stratification.
Oh my God, this is such a pain in the ass.
For lithium batteries, it's best to leave them at a partial charge, typically around 50%. We don't have lithium batteries, so...
Good. But still, that's a lot of things to think about. I forget what I have to do, but I know Eric knows what to do. And I think he built in some sort of thing that that's going to help me. Like, I can disconnect my batteries and have them off. But I don't think I don't know. This whole taking off the negative terminal, that's all right. I'll have to ask him about that.
Yeah, he might have.
How about you?
He might have put a quick disconnect in, which is like a battery disconnect, which is something I use on my old 1940 tractor and my old 1982 truck, because there's all kinds of weird electrical wiring in those things that means there's a lot of parasitic drains, even if I'm not storing for the winter. So I have this little screwy wheel thing that I unscrew, and that disconnects the negative terminal from the, although I don't know if I have it on the negative terminal on those. I think it just like slapped it on whatever I thought I should slap it on, which may be the positive. I don't know. But negative terminal. Mm-hmm. I'm committed to actually like taking better care of these crappy batteries we buy by doing this.
Okay.
So negative terminal.
I'm also committed.
Disconnect the negative terminal, charge the whole thing up, leave it.
So you do leave yours on the battery charger?
There are different kinds of battery chargers. There's ones that are meant to like charge the battery up, and then there's ones that are called maintenance chargers or trickle chargers.
Trickle charger, yeah.
I have the sort of aspiration of getting trickle chargers on all of my boat batteries so that I don't have to buy a new one every year and a half, 2 years. But I have yet to do that, right? So again, back to like running hard all the way to the end of the summer and like just throwing the boats into storage and walking away and going back to non-boaty life. That's typically what happens. But I have at times been better at disconnecting the batteries in the boat so that they last longer. So
I have a battery charger that hangs out in the bottom, like in the hull of the houseboat, and it's connected to my batteries, and I can plug it into like land power. So I'm going to do that this year.
Did you do that last year?
No, because I just really didn't do anything to the houseboat last year. I turned off this switch, but it didn't. I honestly, I was very distracted this time last year, and I was not paying attention.
Yeah.
I just did the rock and roll goodbye, but I didn't even think about it because it was the first year that it had been by the barn. Now it is by the barn. I'm right next to electricity, so I can just run that extension cord, right, and just plug it into the battery charger on the boat.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. That's exciting.
And you know, Eric wired all that. Eric and his nephew wired all that stuff up. They know how it's set up, and so that you could just confirm it all with him.
Yes, I will definitely do that.
No, that I wasn't saying it like that. I was saying it more like, yeah, you plug it in, but like,
well, when you're right, you're right.
You've got, because you know your boat actually has solar panels and a battery bank, so that you can be like off grid, so to speak. That charger you just spoke about allows you to, you know, keep the batteries charged or charge or plug in, or basically like plug into shore power if you wanted to use more juice than the solar panels could generate, because you wanted to like run 3 breakfast sandwich makers instead of just one.
Yeah, dare to dream.
Yeah, or like fire up the margarita machine.
The margarita machine,
which made it through the summer without being,
it sure did,
without being regifted or turned into fish habitat.
Artificial reef. We know what we're gonna do is when you come up and we start doing all of this boat maintenance, we're going to fire up that margarita machine and like some, you know, we'll like pretend it's summer, and that'll be the moment. We'll just like, we'll make it so fun. All that deferred maintenance will be so fun. Oh dear.
The kids just got home, so the dogs are excited. Yeah. We're going to have, we'll have winter margaritas.
And I think we talked about this. I really want to pressure wash the houseboat too, but I wonder, I got to figure out if I should do it when it's in the water right now at Bill and Jack's, or if I want to do it out of the water, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, you need a hose of running water either way, which you could have in either place, depending on where it's tied up at Bill and Jack's. You're welcome to go grab it out of the shop.
All right. Well, we'll see. That's kind of it's a high bar, but you never know. So we've got that, and then So what else is there? Anything else on your list?
No, that was the end of this article. Like, and I'm trying to think of other things that I might do. I always try and like coil the lines up neatly so that they're not just like falling over the place, and I know where they are. I like to put things away in a way that I'm going to like stumble over them in the spring without having to remember that I put them away. So like when you pull a smaller boat, you often will take the drain plug out to let all the water drain. Mm-hmm. And so the drain plug.
Ooh, and then you and I were going to put in bilge pumps into our subfloors of our.
Yes.
You already have one, but you were going to get a new one.
Yep. I need a new one in the little inflatable, and
we were thinking about doing that so that my boat maybe doesn't sink again.
Yeah, and putting one under. You have a closed bilge, so it's a self-draining cockpit, but there is still a hollow cavity underneath the deck, between the deck and the bottom of the boat, and that occasionally fills with water and leads to
my boat sinking.
You said it, not me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Sounds like you fully processed that traumatic event from the summer.
Yeah. No, it's that is on our project list, which I have no idea if that's reasonable for us to tackle, but we'll see.
Putting drain plugs in a place where I will stumble across them in the spring is a big deal for me. So like sometimes I'll get a piece of like masking tape or blue painter's tape, and I'll tape the drain plug to the key to the boat and like stick that in some obvious spot. Sometimes I'll like get a Ziploc bag and put the drain plug in that and like tape it to the steering wheel. Like something.
And the point of this is to make sure you don't put the boat in without the plug.
Also, just lose the plug because, like, I'll remember that I put the plug in the cup holder, but like you don't. You're like, crap. Like
I have so many extra plugs in my like purse that I carry around. I do. It's terrible. I do.
Do you carry them in the off season?
Well, I don't. Well, more on that later. I don't know how long, but they're just like, you know how I have like bags and bags that I carry around. In the bottom of those bags, like when I was like digging around for boating show stickers and a waiter's knife to cut them in half to make Band-Aids, I had all kinds of boat plugs in there as well. You never know. But anyway, to your point, yes, keep an eye on those things. Make sure they go back in. Lessons learned.
Also, some boats that have an inboard or an inboard-outboard motor have what's called a through-hole fitting, where the fresh water that is used to cool the engine gets sucked in from outside the boat. And there's often a really significant valve on that, and you can close that valve, which means that you've sort of de-risked your boat a little bit, because that valve is like, it's basically like screwing a garden hose into the bottom of your boat, and that there's some pressure, there's some water pressure, and if like one of the cooling hoses on your engine springs a leak, then your boat can sink. And if you close that valve, then you've like reduced that risk. And I have in the past forgotten to close that valve, forgotten to open that valve on Helen, our 72 Penyan inboard. And so that's another thing that I try and like, sometimes I'll like tape the key to that. And so like if I can't find the key and I got to look around and oh shit, that's right. I taped the key to the through hole valve so that I remember to open it or close it or whatever.
Right. I see what you're saying. That's smart.
Just like saving future you from doing something stupid.
Right. And I think part of this is the fact that what we were talking about, like there's some things that you just do that like the frequency with which you do something is far enough apart that you kind of forget stuff. So you do need to build in some sort of a system to remember what you're supposed to do, right? Because you're not doing it like once a month. No. You're doing it just once a year.
Right. This is
which means it's a lot harder to learn because it's it's just it's a thing. It's a whole thing.
It's like a habit, but like an annual habit, and that doesn't make it a habit.
It takes forever to learn it because you don't do it often enough.
Yeah, that's why DIY can be challenging, because if you've got to if you do something regularly, it means you can do it easily in 15 minutes. But if you do it, once a year or once every 2 years, it means you need to take like 45 minutes finding and watching the YouTube video. Then that's why it's good to pay people sometimes.
I know. Well, that's also true. But we're doing great. So we went through the whole list of that's what one needs to do, and now we'll have Margarita weekend where we do all the boat maintenance.
I'm so glad you think that we're doing great. I think that this is the first normal boat podcast episode we've made. Like I went and listened to some other boat podcasts, and it's like all this stuff all the time. This is all they talk about.
Well, I'm glad that we're creating some hopefully useful content for either ourselves or others.
You mean like normal boat podcast content?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I've never listened to a boat podcast besides ours, so I don't know what the rest of them are like. But I could see, I did have this moment the other day where, because I was talking to Parker and he asked like what a lot of people asked, and he said, what's the podcast about? And I was like, I mean, it's about boats. But I'd just say it's like a little more like character driven than data driven.
It's definitely not plot driven. I wish we were in the same place, because we could cheers mics to the fact that we made a normal boat podcast episode.
Yeah.
As the 38th episode.
I mean, I think we'll have to see how it's received, because, our audience, we'll see what our audience think of this. Do they want usefulness? It will be great to find out. Please let us know.
I think they do. And I've advocated for that before. And you're like, no, that's boring.
No. I would never say that.
Like I've heard from people that are like, wow, that was really informative. I learned a lot. And I'll be talking about something, or you'll be talking about something, and you're like, no, this is boring. Moving on. It's not being informative. It's informative is boring.
Listen, I feel like I've really brought my most inquisitive self to many components of this, and I've learned a lot.
You remembered to change the gear oil.
I did remember that.
Yeah. You're like, wait a minute.
Proud of me.
There's another kind of oil to change.
But the other part of me was thinking this. You'll identify this as more me. I was remembering when you assisted me in filling up the oil in one of my boats.
In the houseboat, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I've already done the oil. That's what my brain said. But I've already done that thing.
Because you topped off the engine oil on an engine that was like, it was like dying because it had half as much oil as it needed.
Right. In my brain, the thing is oil and it's done. But clearly that was not the case.
No, I used to be bad at changing oil in my car, and I had a car once where I would just like, if it was low, I put oil in. I'm like, that's kind of like over time. That's kind of like changing the oil.
Exactly my point.
Yeah, the engine seized.
I mean,
and I was broke, and I had no car.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm you know me. I'm in a phase of my life where all of the old assumptions and patterns are up for grabs.
Are they?
Things are changing. Yeah, sure. Like life is change. Change is life.
Okay. We have one boat of the week submission.
I know. It's such a good one. I think you should do it.
All right. Hold
Please.
on. Patrick sent another boat of the week. He's going to win.
He did?
Yeah.
It's the boat of the week, stable and sleek. Check out that vessel, baby, isn't she sweet? It's the boat of the week, the boat of the week. Ooh, how I love me, the boat of the week. La da 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 da. Hey, yeah, let's check out the boat of the week.
Delightful. Okay. What do we got, Jeff?
We have 2 submissions, both from Patrick. Listeners, if you would like to submit a Boat of the Week contestant, please email theboatyshow, THEBOATYSHOW, theboatyshow@gmail.com. We would love for you to send something in. Patrick is winning Boat of the Week because he put 2 submissions in. He is the only one who submitted. So the question is, which will win? The first is a 20-foot 1977 cigarette Tempest. Okay. Built in Don Arono's factory and in mint condition. 325 hours, turnkey ready, 3rd owner. Indoor stored fresh water, 350 cubic inch engine, 395 horsepower at 5,500 RPM. Cool. Compression ratio 11-1. Thunderbolt capacitor discharge ignition. High pressure oil pump.
Oof, I love this boat.
Premium grade cast iron cylinder block with full length water jackets. Ribbed and reinforced with 4-bolt main bearing. High performance cylinder head made from cast iron. Heavy duty forged steel crankshaft supported by 5 premium quality steel reinforced aluminum alloy bearings and main bearings. Some special connecting rods. 4-barrel Holley manual choke. Aluminum intake manifold. 8-quart. Ribbed oil pan.
That's a lot of detail.
Yeah, I'm enjoying reading this. External oil cooler for engine and power steering oil. All that being said, okay.
It has some wood on it, which I really like.
Mercruiser TRS stern drive, SSM gear housing, stainless steel 3-blade cleaver prop, which is a special sort of super fast propeller. Electric fuel pump, trim tabs, through transom exhaust, custom through transom exhaust, new Optima marine blue top battery. Back to our discussion about, I read through all of that engine stuff because there's a lot in this listing that says this thing is meant to get run hard and fast. Like it's meant to go.
Yeah.
And it's a white hull. It's a 20-foot, basically a pocket speedboat, like our.
Yeah, it's small.
We like the Donzies. We like the Donzies. We like the
Donzies.
We like the formulas. We like the Chris Craft XK19s. This is one of those sort of pocket speedboats. It's got a beautiful deep V hull, like kind of a cool wraparound windshield, like a smoked plexiglass wraparound windshieldy situation, and it's got for this era the very like traditional ribbed upholstered bucket seats.
Yeah, the upholstery is gorgeous.
Yeah, so like the
layout of it, it looks super comfortable and delightful.
2 pivoting bucket seats, and then like a big like upholstered wraparound couch bucket seat in the back. It's a cool boat. The pictures are all up close because it's stuffed in a garage.
But can we talk about the wood trim?
Yeah. It
has wood trim, which I feel like is very unusual in this kind of boat.
I agree.
It has a wood stripe down the bow.
Yeah, like down the middle of the deck in front of the windshield, there's probably like a 6 or 8-inch wide.
8-inch wide.
Yeah, strip of teak.
Varnished wood that goes all the way to the bow light.
Yep.
And then it has also the same wood is on the dashboard.
Yeah, I agree.
With all the gauges.
Yep.
Hey, could we talk about the fact that the steering wheel is on the left?
Interesting. Good call out, which is not typical.
What's it doing over there?
I don't know.
England?
You know what? You know what's interesting? I never really thought about it, but we're comfortable driving inboard boats sitting on the right, but we drive our cars sitting on the left.
Oh, yeah. Not just inboard boats, all boats.
Yeah, except this one.
We sit on the different side than we do in our car.
Yeah, I wonder if that was...
never, ever noticed that either.
I never really thought about it either. I wonder if this was an option because, well, one of the reasons I think is that typically you operate the throttle with your right hand and you steer with your left. And in a car, you operate the throttle with your foot, right? You press the gas pedal. But in a boat, you're like cranking a lever back and forth. And so maybe that's why it's on the right. This is a good question. This is something we should figure out. And
okay, we're gonna dig into this. Or if someone's listening and they know about this, then send us an email.
Yeah.
And but for this one, it's on the left. Which I wonder, how would you feel jumping in this boat and driving it from the left hand side?
I'd feel great because it would be new and different. I like new and different.
Okay, all right, I hear you. Well, anyway, this is delightful, and I want it.
Yeah, it's got the wood trim is a good call out on. So a pocket speedboat like this, really most speedboats, no wood. Maybe the swim platform. This does have a teak swim platform on the back, but there's also like a little bit of wood around it's called a tow rail, the edge of the boat, not the rub rail, which is sort of the bumper on the outside perimeter of the boat, but the top edge of the boat, where your toes might like wrap over the edge or something like that while you're standing there. It's got that little.
I don't know what you mean by a tow rail. I'm not with you.
So on the like top surface of the deck, if it sticks up at the very edge, like before you get to the rub rail, if you're standing on the boat, if there's like a little rim around the perimeter, that's called a tow rail. And I think I'm seeing this picture as a wood tow rail. Patrick, man, this is a good one.
Yeah, this is an excellent call.
Patrick and I were texting yesterday, and he might be making a big move on a new boat.
A big new boat move.
And it's his news to share. And
okay, all right.
But like,
let's get him back on the show.
Patrick, the boat that you were texting me yesterday, I understand that you have yet to scratch that itch. However, this cigarette, I think Kim would love this.
How much is this one?
24. Let's list it at 24.8.
All right. What's next?
Okay. Oh man. No, I'm still reading about this cigarette. Upgrades include gauges with red trim, E.S. Ritchie & Sons compass 5.5 inch, flush mounted, red illuminated, and set immediately forward of the driver on the foredeck. Oh, so it's meant to go fast at night. I'd like this thing. I gotta sell red. I gotta sell Red Dog so I can buy something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with everything else.
Well, that's different. It's different because I'm
actually
getting rid of a boat.
Yeah. No, I'm not arguing with you. I think you should do it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm into it too.
So next,
what do we got next here?
Next, from Patrick, Jeff, and Steph. It seems that a river picnic is on the brain for this river kid. All aboard this beamy beast for cocktails and snacks. And I have yet to click this link. I am clicking. I am looking. 1992 Windsor Craft 31 picnic boat. It's in Port Clinton, Ohio. I think I might have seen this boat for sale before. It is a big 31 feet. It is a big open picnic boat. So a picnic boat is like typically a large runabout that it's not meant for getting from point A to point B. It's not meant for skiing. It's not meant for fishing. It's meant for cruising around in comfort and having a picnic. That's why it's called a picnic boat. This thing,
it's called unforgettable.
It's got two biminis. Looks like a white fiberglass hull, but tons of wood trim, which is characteristic of that limestone, the 24-foot limestone that had been significantly customized to have a wood deck and a wood transom and a wood windshield and a lot of wood furniture inside. So you're probably going to like this one.
I do like it.
Yeah,
I do like it, but the limestone had a different shape that I was interested in. But this one is it's just delightful. And this one's got like a full bed in it and shit. And it's got portholes and it's really cool. I love this boat too. And it's got really cushy, couchy situation. It's very pretty.
It's got a really, really posh interior. When Steph's talking about there's like a diner booth sort of seating area with a table and a wraparound white couch, but then there's also a huge upholstered chilling pit at the back.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like it. I mean, it just looks like the job. Oh, and it's got like a kitchen. Look at the freaking kitchen. I think it's got a fridge.
The portholes up front. It's got two portholes below the the rub rail below the gunnel, below the sheer, the edge of the boat where the deck meets the hull. It's got 2 portals up there, which gives it a really nice look. That sort of breaks up the mass of this thing.
Right. And I think, and like there's a little picture where you could peek into the cabin, and it looks super nice and cozy, delightful. I really like the kitchen. Look at the sink. Yeah. Did you see the sink?
Yeah. You need all the winterization info from that article.
I know. It was a bad moment to bring that up, huh?
No.
Is that a fridge? That is a fridge.
Oh my goodness, this thing is great.
All right, yeah, we want this boat. Good thing it doesn't have blue hull. Oh my God, it's so cool. It's just made, it's kind of like the houseboat in a way, but just without the roof.
Yeah.
It's like, here's your whole house. You just drive around with it, which I love.
Yeah. That's a great observation. So like a 31-foot flybridge cruiser would have all of this interior stuff going on, except this is open.
But it does have a lot of canvas, which I hate putting canvas on and off, but it is good to have the option.
Right. Definitely for shade. It's got two biminis that look like they would unfold and give you shade pretty readily. It looks like, you're right though, that if you were, looking to zip in curtains and all that so that the thing was fully enclosed. The cabin looks gorgeous. There's a nice little, like a double bed with bolsters all around it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super cozy.
So you could go out and take a nap or, oh my God, there's some great pictures. So the giant aft bench couch has fold out chaise extensions. So you could just sit on it like it's a couch. You could sit on it like half of it's a chaise and half of it's a couch. Or you could like fold out both extensions and you have literally like, it looks like a queen size bed.
Hold on, I'm getting there. Oh, there it is.
Right?
That is very, very delightful.
This thing's only $69,000, which is not a little bit of money, but the amenities on it, bro.
I'm fully in support of Patrick buying this boat, and we can all hang out on it next summer. I'm like, I will move into this boat. Watch me. Okay, so the bow has like the U-shaped benches up in the cabin, and then you convert that to a bed.
You know who needs this boat?
Me.
Patrick and Blake.
Oh. Interesting.
They pile guests in and they love cruising around. They don't have kids.
I'm gonna see them in 2 hours. I'll show them.
Yeah,
I want someone I know to have it because I want to ride around on this thing.
It's got a Mercruiser 7.4 liter.
I know. I'm into the engine picks now. I'll let you look at those. Yeah, I'm going back.
Not so fast. Max speed 28. It's got a V drive. I don't know anything about the manufacturer. It could be like a full custom 92 Windsor Craft.
Yeah, we've never heard of that, right?
Yeah. It sounds like some interesting yacht quality picnic boat with cuddy cabin, outstanding condition. Owners have spared no expense in keeping her, and she is ready to go reduced, and seller wants her sold. Patrick, you should shit can that sight unseen boat you bought last year and buy this one sight unseen.
Oh, you're so not helpful.
No. I did tell him last night with the latest boat that he was looking at that I was committed to not enabling that purchase. Not so much because of any particular kind of boat. It's just that I don't want to be the person who always just says, "Yeah, buy the boat." Like I want to have a reputation of some impartiality. That's what I want.
Okay, whatever you want,
That's what I want. It's probably not going to happen.
As you wish.
I want to look up Windsor Craft and learn more about it.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either. I'm super into it.
Yeah, this is neat. I saw a listing for this in the spring, I think, and so that means that it didn't sell, and they're talking price reduced.
All right, well, Jeff, it's time.
Between the cigarette and that,
it's a tough call, but I mean, we're going for the picnic boat, right?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, the Windsor Craft 1919 Windsor Craft 31 picnic boat is your boat of the week.
Yes.
There it is. Okay.
Oh, that was great.
My friend, at the beginning of this summer, we decided you wanted to jump off the roof of the houseboat, and I said I wanted to work on the Grace. I did jack squat diddly on the Grace, which is the 1960 Slickcraft 15-foot runabout that I am in a very, very, very slow motion restoration of. That we are partners on. It's the Boaty Show project boat. That's what I've decided it is.
Okay. All right.
I didn't do squat.
And that's okay. It's okay because this conversation was the first conversation that we really had on the first podcast, on the first Boaty Show. It was like, what are you excited about? And it's okay for you to be excited about doing it and then not do it. That's fine. Personally, what I said was I wanted to jump off the roof of the houseboat. And it took me until September to do that. I don't know why, but it did. I was not as good about taking the houseboat out this year. I did it maybe 5 times. I should have done it more. But we did, a bunch of us did finally get to jump off the top of the houseboat, and it was super fun. Water was still warm enough. We had some beautiful weather, kind of a full circle moment thinking about when we started this and where we are now. And just, this is a season of change anyway. Things are changing. People are leaving. Trees are turning. I would say if you give me a moment to be reflective, that I had a very, very, very fun summer.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
How about you?
I did too. You nobody deserves anything, but I'm happy that you had a fun summer.
Yeah, me too.
I'm happy for you.
I agree.
Julie had a fun summer
Amen.
too. I had a really fun summer also.
So I don't know. Well done. Now we're gonna head into the next season. We'll see what that brings.
We're about to cross 5,000 downloads of the show.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. And we have listeners in about 20 countries, unless those are VPNs. Toby told me, she's
regardless, we're grateful to to all of the people who've joined us for this adventure.
We're super grateful to our listeners, but it could all be VPNs. Like Toby told me, she's like, yeah, my VPN's in Albania. So if you see any listening in Albania, that's me.
Well, I'm getting a phone call from my duck hunting son, so we got to wrap it up.
All right, we're out.
Yo ho ho, that's it for the Bodie Show. Pack the cooler, grab the lines, let's go, go, go. Yo ho ho ho.
That's it for the Bodie Show. Go talk to Duck Hunting Leo, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, man. Have a good week.
You too. Bye.